started. So, we're at Bentonville Bike Fest.
The best bike festival in the world.
An obvious question. Who's ridden their bike today?
And right now I definitely look the sweatiest.
Yeah, you do look the hottest.
Commentating takes a lot out of you, so...
Are you nervous because you're between Hans and Kenny?
I'm like sandwiched between some of the biggest and best riders in the world right now, and Andrei Burton's over there.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah,
We are always
but we
harsh to
can't
each
match
other.
this.
Guys, welcome to an extremely special Shin Dig podcast brought to you by Bentonville Bike Festival, where, as you can see, we have got one strong squad here today. Tom Hutley, one of the original podcasters with myself many years ago. The CEO and founder of Bentonville himself, Mr. Kenny Belaey. Yeah, let's let ourselves a little bit of a round of applause. Come on. And
Can you sign my phone?
yes. And what a mountain bike trial superstar who's still riding now, Mr. Hans Ray. And over here, a great rider for the Shin Dig and one of our hosts, fantastic commentator for this weekend as well, Mr. Andrei Burton.
Hello, how's it going?
Yes, and it's again pretty surreal to have us all together. And we'll stick to what we do best, is talking bikes. I mean, first of all, Bentonville today, what an amazing first day for the trials. Hans, you've been admiring from the sidelines earlier. How can you relate to what these guys are doing now to what you were doing? Your background is trials, same with Kenny, but you've really seen the sport go from what it was, just
originally, yeah, way back in the day.
Extreme mountain biking to what we now call trials. And how has that been for you to kind of see that growth and journey?
Yeah, I mean, it was always called trials, but it changed so drastically, as you all know, in the old days, it was 2 wheels on the ground, and first it was pedaling, and then you hopped a little bit, then you started doing certain moves on the back wheel, but nowadays, the geometry, the bikes, the sections, everything has changed so much, and it's really all on the back wheel, and for me, it's kind of rare to see these top European guys perform on a competition level, and thank God for Kenny to bring this sport at this stage back to America. We did this in the late 80s. We had a huge trials competition in America, and it was a big stage for me and people loved it, and nothing had happened in between. So for me to see everybody, and the highlight is really the warming up session. I took a video and there's like 7 guys, like world-class guys, like all hopping in all different directions, and it's cool. It's cool to see.
And everyone's like right next to each other because it's quite a small, compact space as well, and you can really appreciate they can do these massive moves, and then somebody's just standing here and they don't even react because you're so used to just being next to each other.
What's happened. Yeah.
And we're all desensitized to it, right, Kenny? You've seen all the riders too. We just sit and go, oh, that was impressive, but the spectators here as well, some of the best spectators I think we've had on a lot of trials competitions. One of the most fun competitions. How have you found the comp today?
No, I think it was the audience loved it. They were all very engaging. They were clapping. You guys made them understand the rules because we don't have a scoreboard or anything, so it's hard to it's hard to understand what's happening if you don't know the sport. But for sure, bringing it to America was a vision to have it along Bike Fest, because I thought we had the space, we had the resources to do it, so it was a no-brainer of doing it. And I just only hope now that more organizers in the US will actually start organizing events and bringing the Europeans here, include the North American guys, the Ferrar brothers. So I think the Bike Fest is the place where it kind of all started to inject a new wave of energy in the sport.
And this is only the beginning, really. This is
I hope
the
so.
4th year.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing that it's been 4 years and it's actually such a huge event already. And you have all the disciplines here. You have all the best riders from every discipline as well. And it's quite an achievement that you've managed to pull that together. And so far from home as well. Coming to America and doing it here is it's a whole nother thing,
You don't want to know
what you had to do to make it happen.
It's like nerve-wracking. I'm tired all the time. Not all the time, but when it's go time to get stuff done,
Yeah.
But I think, smarter in how to manage my time and how to like put it together. And I'm working with the right people that actually know their domain better than I do.
Yeah,
And I think that's how I now can put this together.
that's super cool. I mean,
Also, don't forget the hype that's been invested in money-wise and energy-wise in making Bentonville what it is now with the trails and everything. I mean, it was almost like a no-brainer. They needed a festival.
yeah,
And
Yes,
I'm just really glad that they gave me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it's
But
incredible because they have like what 400 miles of trails or something around the
Insane.
area.
It's like
There's 70
it's next
miles.
level. It's like 10 times more than any other mountain bike destination. I mean, it goes an hour and a half in every direction, and I mean, really, chapeau to Kenny for what you've done, because I go to mountain bike festivals all over the world, and I really believe this is now one of the best, if not the best, and I think it's actually, for me, it's better than Sea Otter, and Sea Otter is. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
But it's all these elements, and he brings. It's not just. I mean, we all stoked for the trials, and that's a big part actually. But the dirt jump and this, and then having that trail network and that infrastructure, and Bentonville is a really cool town, and Kenny pays. I think he pays attention to the details, and
Absolutely, yeah.
and it's not about money. With American promoters, it's often about. This is a business, we need to make money. Every volunteer, even if we have to pay him lunch, that costs us money, and it's like, come on, let's do a good event first.
Well,
and then,
the accessibility, that's what's
I don't do that.
important.
I'm a trials rider,
Yeah.
This is what I mean.
I used to work hard for
nothing.
little money.
That's it.
And I'm
You're
like,
a trials rider, you get used to working super hard for very little reward.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you can work super hard and you get some reward, it's like,
Exactly.
oh man, this is fantastic.
no,
But,
for sure.
I mean, one question I had to you is like, it would be quite easy to do the festival without trials, because the other sports are going to be bigger and easier to promote, I think. So it's cool that you've obviously kept trials because that's your roots. And is that the reason why you wanted to bring trials?
Not
or-
really. If I have to say it from a passion standpoint of view, I say yes. I need to have trials even if it costs me money. The truth is, trials is the only guaranteed event that can go on in
No matter what.
severe weather.
Yeah.
I can live stream it, which is super cheap
Yeah.
to do, relative.
Compared, yeah.
And the return for my sponsors is guaranteed no matter what the weather is, and you're riding on billboards. So
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I don't understand why no other organizer gets trials in, because if it's too windy, I have to cancel the
The dirt jumps.
Dirt jumps, yeah.
straight rhythm.
And building a skate park super expensive as well,
skate
right?
park super expensive. If I want to have the enduro, if it's too stormy or whatever, they have to probably have to cancel as well. And I just know trials can always go on.
We ride no matter what.
and yeah,
It's not
and
commitment.
slippery, not slippery. I mean, we do it, and then that's
Yeah.
what, from a commercial standpoint of view, I think investing in trials is the way to go.
Yeah, so true. And also, there isn't that many like top international level riders in America. But do you think that like this event and events like this are going to completely change that? Because like I just recently did a big road trip, 3,500 miles around America, and I
Really?
found some like incredible places to ride.
It's crazy,
It's
yeah.
like, why aren't there just like
exactly.
like, there should be more than Europe, because some of those like Lake Tahoe and like Joshua Tree.
Beautiful, eh?
Oh my god, it's incredible! Like the best places to ride. I was like,
Granite-
why aren't there
granite
thousands of
boulders.
riders?
Well, it takes.
But you need the
water.
events, right?
It takes that. I mean, I was looking what they got, the Farron brothers, right? That's the
Right.
Farrar brothers.
Farrar brothers.
Yeah,
I saw them like here 4 years ago and 3 years ago, and watched them warm up and saw them a little bit
So
today.
much better.
And their level
Wow.
is like, and that's
Incredible.
because they got to ride with these kind of guys and they get inspired and.
And they're here representing North America
Yeah.
in the elites.
Yeah.
And that's important. We brought all of these European riders to kind of show what the European level is. Why is that not in the States? I mean, you were probably the first, correct me if I'm, you were probably the first kind of trials rider to kind of bring it to America, right? And then, like just showcase that. And then it was, Kenny, you had to just sort of take that baton and be like, hey, there's an audience here. Why is that sport not here? I mean, what kind of triggered you into that sense? Was it the halftime shows? Like, what kind of brought it more? You're like, I want to do more in America.
I have to go way back then. I think Hans was actually the one who, I think in I was already going to Sea Otter in like 2005 and 2000.
Yeah, I remember seeing
2005
videos like
2005 was my first Sea Otter, and then I still remember when I won the World Championships in 2006. I was so disappointed by like the media return on my sponsors that
New Zealand.
they were like didn't care, and I still remember sending an email to Hans. I said, Hans, how the hell do you do it to get so many sponsors, man? And he's like, you got to get the ball rolling. I still remember that email.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Is that where the 8 ball came from?
maybe
You used to have in your,
No, I
your
didn't.
thing.
And,
Would you say yeah?
yeah, it just grew organically. And then Hans, like always, like, you know, introduced me to Adidas, then introduced me to GT bicycles. And I think GT bicycles was kind of the moment that, you know, got me to understand that there's a lot more possibility here, bigger budgets, a lot more, you know, resources to execute nice things.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, and then, you know, from one came the other. From meeting you, I then met, for example, another trials rider, Aaron Lutzi.
Aaron, we
Yeah.
love
Shout out to
Aaron.
Aaron who can't be
He
here.
got me into the NBA shows, and then from the NBA shows, I grew that business. I just had one contact, and you know, trials riders, we know how to promote ourselves. So,
You have to.
yeah. So from one show, I had 40 shows, and then I had the Adidas commercial, the Samsung commercial in LA with like, you know, a pay that you cannot even like, is impossible to get in Europe.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, there's so much opportunity. And then I got here because of my show, and then I always produced events.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, why don't I produce an event in America? And actually in 2019, that was the year where I had to decide between World Cup in Antwerp or the first event in Bentonville. And the city of Antwerp was waiting so long with getting my approval done. And I was begging for like $1,000, and it's like live streamed. You've seen the event.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Market was full, but it was just too much relying on me. I had to be on the podium. It was just,
That's a lot of
Pressure
pressure.
on you,
Yeah.
like
And
you
I
have to organise and
I'm like,
be the face.
if the Belgians
everything.
not on the podium, I don't have sponsors. If I don't have sponsors, I don't have a live stream. And it was just, so I made a strategic decision of saying, all right, I'm pulling the plug, and I'm going for the American dream. And yeah, just started here hustling, riding my bike around Bentonville, meeting people, and just stepping.
Yeah, and the American dream, I think it's high on the list of a lot of action sport athletes, or even none. I mean, look at even the soccer players, football players. They want to come here and be also recognized,
sure,
and
yeah.
and it's something special. And most athletes are usually mainly recognized in their own country, and
Yes,
then it tinkers out. But to do this, you have to have a stage to do this. And like I had that stage when mountain biking first came, and we had those races in Mammoth and did the shows. And like you said, you had to have an opportunity here and a stage, and now you even build your own stage. But you've done so many things, but it's not easy. I know a lot of not just trials guys, but all kinds of action sport guys who came to this country and tried to find the respect, you know, in this country too. And it's a different ball game, and sometimes, you know, it's hard work, or it's good timing, or a little bit of luck, or but you
totally.
need a platform where you can show them what you got.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the people are here with that sport. Every sport in America can be considered much larger, you know, like that football, soccer, or anything like that. So I think you've taken the right direction in being able to show, especially how many other bike events actually have trials as kind of the centerpiece. I don't know if that was maybe what you were going for, but it's so much part of the festival, if not the centerpiece of the festival, especially like riders like us. We've made it our life. You've made it your livelihood. Andrei's made it his livelihood. So to be able to kind of progress it in that way is the only way to kind of, I think, step forward or to take the next level up. So what is the next level here? How can we progress this? What can we do ourselves to elevate the sport of trials in America?
Sorry, there's a fly on my head.
Yeah.
I would say building community. I mean, it's already hard to do it in Europe, right? Wherever you live, let's agree that you don't have 1,000 trials riders.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard. So there need to be a big problem in America is the distance.
Yeah.
People,
Such a big country.
like fly 2 hours. We're in Spain. We're riding with 20 riders. Level goes up. Competitions after competitions. So I think the whole scene still has to grow. And if I have to be really honest, I think our best shot is to go start in a way where they maybe already, like I saw the mountain bike category, for example.
Yeah.
That's a first good move, because people
I
have
was
the
going to say
bike.
exactly the same. Yeah, it needs to be simplified.
They can start doing it.
Yeah.
And we all know they will get to a point they will like, I want to elevate, and they get on like our trial bikes
Yeah.
without a seat, and they might be like, oh, this does feel nice, you know. And I think these are the steps that we have to take.
Yeah,
if we put them on a trials bike straight away, they'd be like, no.
Yeah, and actually the starting level I think is like too much. In most competitions, it's like even the entry level, like a lot of it can be like too much, too overwhelming, and it takes such a long time to build up those basic skills.
You need to have success.
Yeah, and it's trials isn't a bike; it's a discipline that can be related to and kind of expressed is the word I'll use on any bicycle. And once we drill into everyone who rides bikes that you're like, if you can ride trials and these basic concepts of a bike, you'll be good on any bike.
Yeah, totally.
Right, and we wonder how
that's the
Strider class next year.
Strider, a Strider trials bike.
Yeah.
Get out of the seat.
But it's like that long corner.
Tapping optional.
I think it needs more like.
No, but you're right. We should do that. Like a Strider just walking around. I mean, they're dabbing, but just to have the feeling and step by, I mean,
100%.
I'm sure
on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I can only do that much, right? And it's always been the case. When I was a pro athlete and competing in my village, I saw the potential, but I couldn't also manage a club, and so you always need to rely on other people doing it. So if somebody wants to further build on this, for example, and say, hey, I come to Bentonville and I'm going to do trials workshops. Let's get 20 bikes here. Man, there's thousands of bikers in the area.
Yeah.
And there's so much potential. If you sell it to the point where, like, if you do trials, you'll be a better trials rider. Look at Hans, you on a mountain bike, Chris Akrick.
Yeah.
Look at Danny McCaskill.
Exactly.
Look at Fabio Widmer. They're like the biggest name in the mountain bike scene.
Yeah,
and
they started in trials.
They're trials riders.
Yes.
That's it.
So
That's it.
there's so much value in there. But there has to be that person that says, look, I'm going to make a business out of it. I'm going to get 30 trial bikes every Sunday. There's a something here.
Event,
I'm gonna put them all in a trailer. I'm gonna go all around the country to bikes, to shows. I'm gonna sell them. I mean,
even the Farrar guys have started that, like they've come here, they've brought 12 bikes, they've got all different sizes, everyone can just get on and have a go. And it was really cool yesterday afternoon to see how many people were coming past on their own bikes. They put their mountain bikes down and be like, oh, can I have a go on this? And like try a trials bike, and that was really nice.
But we just have to realize that we're now showing the elite, and you know it's out of their reach maybe, but we have to have that platform where we say, okay, these are the steps. Let's go. Let's go in your mountain bike club. Let's do trials clinics. Let's do little events. Let's do kids on Strider bikes. Catch them from early on, and then
it's really good. And then from then we changed the idea of learning how to ride a bike.
Yes,
that's kind of the bottom line.
Yeah,
and I think as soon as you put that into the understanding of anyone who wants to ride a bike, trials is like the basics of cycling just put to an extreme level. Right, that's kind of how
all the MotoGP riders that I know, motocross riders, they all
Enduro,
have trial bikes. Enduro,
all started on moto trials,
moto
and then
trials, and
Graham Jarvis, and then, they just step into enduro and they're like, oh, this is easy. Yeah, it's incredible. Changing the subject slightly, so the Bentonville Bike Festival has been really successful the last 4 years. You've got like bigger sponsors, more presenting partners, more people here, loads and loads of brands involved. Where do you see it going? What's your goal the next few years?
I would like to create a UCI Trials World Cup, have a all-week festival, have more industry focused, where we have a dealer-only day where we work with like associations like MBDA, so it's only open for the dealers. Then I also want to create something more mainstream to it. Ideally, it could be a music festival that starts like as soon as this one closes. the doors open.
I already checked on the Foo Fighters for you.
Yeah, I heard that. He said it to me earlier. He's like, well, the goal is we'll have the Foo Fighters here one day. And I'm like, I like the sound of that.
You should get Dizzy
I got
Rascal,
nothing
man.
to lose.
No, absolutely.
What?
Aim high.
Dizzy
I'm in
Rascal.
America. I like sky's the limit.
Yeah.
I looked them up. Apparently, they won $2 million. So that's
Oh,
different.
I'm sure Dizzy
So-
Rascal's less. Get him.
But
I went to a
Hans
festival and
knows
we were
them.
watching him from my
Hans
demo rig last
actually
year. It was
has,
amazing.
I'm sure you've got Dave Grohl's phone number, right? Am I making that up?
Is
Something?
this just like name
But-
dropping?
No, they're all right bikes
Oh,
actually.
message
I met them all, but my contact there, I was actually really good friends with Taylor Hawkins.
Oh, okay.
And so,
Shout out to him.
but there's still some contacts there. A couple of the guys still ride bikes and stuff. But
So we have our in already. It might be happening sooner than we think.
We're teaching trials to the Foo Fighters, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
That'd be so cool.
I think that sounds. Getting a video of
That'd be
them
so
on
cool.
trials bikes
No,
would
but,
be the goal.
I want to keep like if you go to a Formula One event, like it closes at night and then it goes into a like David Guetta or like
Yeah.
a big name DJ.
I mean-
that brings in like another 10, 15,000 people that just want to come for the act. I don't know, that's kind of the.
And it
where I
will
wanna
feed
go.
into the bike event anyway.
And they get
naturally.
like
Yeah.
their combi ticket gets access to this, their combi ticket gets access to the music, or you just get Bike Fest, or you just get a music festival.
Rather than have them in a separate
Super
thing,
cool
it's
idea.
like one large
Yes,
entity.
yes,
I know you just mentioned Formula One there, which I wanted to ask as well. You recently rode on a Formula One car,
Yeah.
right? How did that happen?
It's a pit stop challenge that Red Bull has, and so they go to all these venues. They set it's only half a car actually, but I filmed it from the bottom.
Very smart. We've
But
It's half a car.
But it's a real car.
I was going to say
It's a
was
real
like,
car.
they
That
let
half
you-
is real.
So you got like the gun. You got like change the wheel, and so I actually had a massive crash on that thing before, because because
You can't drive it. It's only half a car.
so
Man.
the wheel is like the axle is fixed, but the wheel is on there. So if you turn
Awesome.
this way, the wheel's
wheel
fixed.
spins.
But if you stand on the wheel and you go this way, you unscrew the bolt. So, and I'm like walking it, and I'm like stepping on the right side of the wheel, and the whole wheel,
It's
I'm
fun.
like,
So that sounds a lot worse than it looked. I thought, oh, he looks pretty casual on that, you know, and he's like, oh, no, he's like,
with my backpack on, I'm like, oh great,
Damn,
let's
damn.
tighten that a bit.
well, obviously,
So
being riding on an F1 car is probably a pretty big deal. We're going to say it's a full F1 car if it's half. What's-
But to go back, I've
Yeah.
seen a photo of Mark Vinko
Yeah, I was going to say Mark Vinko. He did
on
wheel
an
to wheel, right?
actual, a real Formula One car
And-
in the pit stop. In the-
Fabio just flipped a Formula One run.
You just went over it, right? I
Yeah,
think.
he flipped
he,
it.
he didn't touch it.
Yeah?
Doesn't
Yeah,
count.
yeah.
That doesn't count.
I rode
Like,
over a
even-
Volkswagen Beetle.
That's what I was about to ask. What's
I
the
rode
biggest
over
thing
a,
you've ridden
Dodge
over?
Viper,
Is it a Volkswagen Beetle?
while it
Is
was
that-
doing a burnout. as well.
Weirdest.
Oh, really? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think's the strangest thing you've ridden your bike on then?
Oh fuck! I have
What's her name? When was it?
that slapper.
Don't tell the wife.
It must have been the Mother Nature stuff, like glaciers and volcanoes. Like I had this
that's so cool.
filmmaker once take me to Hawaii. That was back in the days, like in the early days of action sports, like in the late '80s, and he filmed windsurfing where the lava would flow into the ocean and the water was boiling, and he had guys windsurf, and he tried to ride his his bike over a lava stream and ended and had in slow motion the tire blow up, but he couldn't ride for shit, so he had me do this dance. So I was on the edge where the lava flows in the ocean, and the ground I was on was not even 24 hours old. Yesterday it was over here, you know, and there was like this red cloud at night, and I would hop there and do the dance on the volcano. But I had like 3 layers of clothing on because I had to protect myself from the lava would explode in itself, and these red hot balls would fly through
Like a
the air.
fire suit.
Yeah,
Style.
I did. No, I had
Wow.
like 3 layers, but this ground would have broken off any time, and I would have just melted to nothing. But anyway,
That's so cool.
Just not to nothing, but yeah.
But
yeah.
I think this is one of the coolest things that trials has taken us so many places around the world, you know. And everywhere you go, like now I still go to places and I'm like, I just want to ride that. You know, I think trials riders see the world in
Yeah.
a different way, right?
I looked at the dirt line. I was thinking, how fast do I have to go to jump up that drop in?
Yeah.
Oh, to go the opposite way.
Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
how fast would
of
I need
course.
to go? Like if I was towed in, would I make it?
Yeah.
That's like
Everyone's
looking
going.
So cool.
looking at the world through a trials rider's eyes is a very different
Yeah,
place.
we're definitely a weird bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
Totally.
are you ever in the
Just some
gym?
Incredible
Are you
places.
ever in the gym? I mean, Danny made a video out of it after. But
Yeah.
Before that, were you ever in the gym?
Always.
Looking on the machines, like from that to I do it all.
Man, I do that in between every set. I'll just be sitting down and I'm like, I reckon I could hook that. I'm like,
You
I
rode
go
your
and ask them,
trials.
like, will they let me come in after? You know?
You rode your trials bike up a climbing wall,
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah,
that element
yeah.
of like, there's no
Was
other
it vertical?
I've actually-
Was it vertical?
Yeah,
Really?
I've actually ridden like a legit outdoor V5. So V5 is like 6A.
Really?
Yeah, 6A slab. It's called like slopey traverse.
Indoor or
Yeah,
outdoor, you say?
Outdoor, yeah. So like a legit, it's had like thousands of repeats. Really famous climb in England. And I actually do it as just part of my normal. You go to your local riding spot and it's like your normal circuit, and I'm like, I do this, and then I ride up this V5 to the top of the cliff, and then I'm like that.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like those kind of challenges, And I climb
I've shared
a lot
that
as well,
video.
so-
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
that's how we kind of this whole bit of trials where it isn't as well known, but people don't realise they watch an extreme. There's another one, you're riding a slack line. This was a few years ago now.
Yeah.
Still Red Bull repost it. I think every couple
Every
of
week,
weeks.
every week.
Like,
I'm like,
because
this is easy.
this
But
is
you're really good at it now,
It's
right?
time.
You're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so good on slackline.
I do it
So
every
you like
day
ride along
almost.
and open a can of Red Bull and like drinking it as you're sitting on the slackline.
which
Like,
is what,
man, what the
have you
hell?
got any other big kind of stunts, as you like to say,
Yeah.
that you're sort of working towards that you can tell us about?
I hope I'll make it, but I'm planning a 2.0 balance project in August.
A what? Sorry?
A 2.0 balance.
Oh,
So we're gonna
okay.
do another slackline project, but in an urban environment. But
Nice.
a little, no, it's a longer line, but a little lower.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
Oh wow!
Are you going to be
on my
doing
trials
that
bike this time.
in
How
Bentonville?
far off the
Wait.
ground? This much?
You're going to do it in Bentonville?
No, in Amsterdam.
In the dam. Okay.
34 stories. What is that? 60 meters?
That's very high.
Yeah,
That's what that is.
Very high.
That's too low for a base jump. So you better pull it.
I've
Oh, yeah,
always
that's
wanted
true.
to do that. Like, I thought about learning like base jumping, and being like, oh, could you ride a slack line that's really legit high and be like, if it goes wrong, you can just.
You just jump.
Well, I
off.
don't know. Like, it's
Red Bull
such a different thing.
asked
Pull
me.
it Dean Potter.
I
Yeah.
want to see it happen.
You know that
It'd be
you know that
amazing.
spider web in
Yes.
Utah or somewhere.
I've seen
There's
that.
a
Yeah.
hole in the middle where they slackline to it, then jump down and
I
base
think I can
jump.
picture it. Yeah.
So they were like, you ride there, put your bike down, jump down. I'm like, nope. And then
Oh, dude,
I
man.
spoke to Miles.
I'd be straight in.
Miles Dasher, you know this guy? He's a American. He's an American base jumper for Red Bull. I think he's OG. He's like, I think mid 50s already, and he teaches.
Over the hill.
Quite young.
and he's like, I can make a bag of potatoes base jump, and then he makes a video. He takes a bag of potatoes and just throws it off a bridge, and his parachute opens. See, it's easy. I'm still not doing it.
I'm not a bag of potatoes, man. Way more valuable.
You don't want to be mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Have you done skydiving? I did something in Dubai and like
I should do
it's
it.
pretty
I
addictive.
want to do as soon as I wrap up this festival. I should have been training 3 months ago already and like prepare for it. I'm a bit worried. I have to be honest. I can say this on this podcast because
Yeah.
I'm 9 years older. I mean, I can't hide it. I'm less fit than I was 9 years ago because back then I was a machine.
Yeah.
So I got some work when I get home. I only have 1 month
Oh
and a
man,
half.
that's super cool. I can't wait to see this.
Because I've
It's
always
really
pictured, I
exciting.
don't know if anyone's done it, I've always pictured someone like base jumping with a bike and then somehow they get near a jump and they cut it and then you start the ride. Has that ever been done?
Do you know what? I've
Just
had this
create a
conversation
load of
before
folks
with a
with
friend of
head
mine.
I know, he's
You're
something
fronting
like,
it now.
Well, your front
Red
wheel
Bull
like
just
this?
heard my idea going, uh-oh, okay.
The problem is,
Kenny,
how do you pull the cord? Because you're gonna have to hold the bike.
Well, that's what I mean. Obviously, I'm not saying it's possible, but like this is one
Because
thing I
ski
can
base
see.
is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Ski
Maybe
base,
Hans-
snowboard base
maybe Hans
is
will
a
leave
thing.
that to Kenny.
You know, I did a really cool movie back in 1990, and that movie is so cheesy, but it was so ahead of its time in all action sports, called Fire, Ice, and Dynamite, and it was an action sports comedy, and Roger Moore was in it.
Roger Moore.
$17 million budget. All the best guys in skiing, in kayaking, in all the stunts, the biggest bungee jump ever, the first backflip in a car, stunt scenes, all this stuff. And we had a guy we're not only the guy who did the first ever backflip on a mountain bike in it 5 years before the free riders started doing it, but we had a guy in there and he rode the cable of the gondola in St. Moritz on a bike without safety.
Really?
What?
I mean, he had a safety and he had a counterweight on his bike,
okay.
and he probably had the safety.
That's easy. The counterweight is so easy.
Yeah. But anyway,
No, honestly, have you
You're a
ever
Charles
tried?
rider.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, I have to find
it
it.
looked like it.
Wait, but there's a guy who really does it on a cable, and he's an artist with the with the
Suck.
yes,
Yeah.
and he's from a family like 3 generations.
Yeah.
He has done it on a bike.
Mad.
It's insane.
You know, last year,
I watched that in one of the Cirque shows, and he rides a bike with no rim. No tire. Have you seen that?
yeah, that's what that guy did in our film.
Yeah. So he rides the rim on a cable,
Yeah, I can see it.
and he has like
sitting
8 meters, like no safety. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. He can just go forwards, backwards, like whatever. Like,
Last year,
that's really impressive.
I was in the Alps last year hanging out with Danny, and we were at this arm, like having all like dinner and a drink and stuff with a bunch of people, and we were just laying there all chilling. And all of a sudden, Danny goes like looks at the cable of the gondola and goes like, "All serious, I think I could ride this," and
Sure.
it's like without safety or anything.
And with tires, not
Yeah. He was serious, so.
So he said it.
Stay tuned.
Do you know what though?
Stay tuned.
The funny thing is Danny has that, like, that's one thing I quite like about Danny, that he has the ability to make you believe that you can do it as well. So like, when we were riding in Glasgow last year, and I was like, I haven't done a pedal hop gap for like years, and he's like, no, I think you can do that gap. And I'm like, he's like, just go for it. Well, it looks like I'm going for it then.
And even he was getting his phone out. I think he was encouraging you, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm definitely filming.
He was like, Andrew, you can definitely do it, and then turn around going, he can't do it.
He used you, man.
Yeah.
I
He
feel
wanted
very
to go
used.
viral.
Yeah.
So used.
No,
Yeah.
that was a cool ride.
Man, that was so much fun. Like, I really enjoyed that. Like, and after competing as well, like you finish the world champs, and then you're just like, cool, bike away, or like forget the competition side, and like let's all just go and ride. And it was just such a good vibe. Such a good vibe. You should have been there.
I know, I missed it.
Are we likely to see Danny maybe coming to this festival at some point, right? It's the biggest trials festival, and he's like one of the well-known trials riders. He's not even here.
Yeah, I tried.
He's been to Bentonville before.
He's been to the other place, Bentonville, but just not specifically the festival.
No, not yet. I tried with Krang Brothers to get him here. We were super close, and actually forgot why. I think he got.
He might have had a hair
another
appointment or something.
He has another event, I think.
He's a busy man. I appreciate that. So maybe, hopefully, we'll.
But yeah, I've been trying to get Fabio here or Danny, and
Yeah, man.
one day maybe.
Cool. It'll be
One
cool.
day they want to come here.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually.
I love to build a workshop around him, but street trials, and then get like a whole.
I was gonna say, like, what about like a whole? What do you think it would work if you did like a whole separate event? There was like a street trials event. It was like you could build like they did with BMX, like street. So they build like a replica area. Do you think that would work? And you could do like a freestyle trials competition?
I would say yes, but the logistics behind it is
Massive, yeah.
you got to build all the obstacles. In America, that's the one downside. Production for everything is like double or triple the prices in Europe.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. My guess is those guys wouldn't be into a competition, but maybe a video project. You send them loose for 2 days, and we have all this stuff in Bentonville, and then come back and do like do a little video project and do your own.
Yeah.
This kind of like leads me on that actually, because I think trials now has like really become like this. And it used to be like, oh, we're going to go to this event in, like, I've been to events in Estonia and all over where it was like, we're going to do like a freestyle competition, or you've got like 2 minutes, or you've got like a super section, you just got to see as far as you can get, or you've got speed trials. And now it seems like there's kind of one direction of like trials competitions. And maybe like the sport needs to like diversify a little bit. Like in free running, they have, like the best line. So they're like, oh, you've got like 2 hours to go out with a cameraman and film like your best line. You have like a minute edit. That kind of thing could be really cool, So you give them an area and you say like,
and then the city calls me, Kenny.
yeah.
All
Everything's
our
broken.
handrails are like broken. All our flowers are.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe you
What are
have
these
like,
tire marks doing on my handrail?
The hospital's overrun. But I think like, you know, maybe you build like a course and you say like, okay guys, you've got to create the best line you can, and you know,
I thought
like
about,
do you know what I mean? But just different like
Yes.
different ideas of competitions as well.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, I started as like, I want to have all the disciplines, but I don't want to overproduce every discipline because I don't want to burn myself in like committing to things. I mean, because something like that is a big production, and it's just like, I'm lucky that, you know, I know everybody in the trial scene, so I'm just like, all right, here's your space, and I know it's gonna be set up, live stream is on, like everybody knows what they have to do. It's something like that. It's like I'm probably gonna have to go and do it, and I have to protect myself a little bit of
Yeah, of
all
course.
the stuff I've
Yeah,
done.
and you're only getting older. You can't. Do you know what I mean? Of course.
To organize, it's fine.
Yeah.
I got a few years left.
He's got a few years left of organising.
And it's that. I think what's one thing I want to mention that's important is the accessibility of this festival. You know, this is free.
Yeah.
Everyone that comes here without having to pay for a ticket. They get to see the sports. They get to try
So cool.
the sports. And I know that doesn't happen kind of without many of the sponsors. Like, was that your goal from day one?
It was a necessity because I had to do it. I had to give it. I had to give out everything for free because this was what the culture was here for events.
Yeah.
And the 20 years before that, because of, you know, Walmart is here and there's 1,000 brands that have offices here
Wow.
because they all sell to Walmart. So whenever there was an event, they were always coming and showing up, like today, free hot dogs,
So cool, man.
free Raising Cane's chicken fingers. Like, this has just been the culture here. It has shifted though. So if I think now I can start charging for it, and I might have to do it because the overhead is so big,
Right.
Yeah, of
and
course.
it's 100%. Well, I got a little bit of a rider entrance fee that the riders who race have a little bit of their fee covers, like, yeah, I have a way too big price purse, but it covers already a little bit of my event. And then the vendors who have their booth spaces covers maybe 20% of the festival cost.
Wow. Small percentage. Yeah.
All this 70% is coming from sponsors.
Incredible.
So it's tricky because you know how sponsors are. They're like, okay, 2 years we want to invest in the bike scene, and in 2 years it's maybe tennis, you know?
Yeah. They changed their focus to something else.
It's tricky. So I might have to start charging to protect the festival of keep existing.
Of course. Yeah.
And I think that will, all of these years now, that value is being built.
Yeah, and I need to
people
hire.
want to pay.
And I really need to start hiring more people because I'm administrator.
Yeah, it's a
Sometimes
huge
I
amount of
pretend
work.
I'm like a lawyer, and then
And a rider, you're
And a
doing
rider.
shows,
Different
you're
hands.
performing.
But I mean, I think like over the years, like from what I've seen, I've known you for like 20 plus years now. Like compared to a lot of trials riders, you've always worked super hard. Like I think you weren't like naturally like a super powerful rider, so you had to like make it up and work really hard to get your results alongside of doing like shows and organizing businesses and like, doing all of that over the years. So you're like the one person that's used to working like super hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows by this event here.
Yeah.
I think other people like maybe haven't had to work as hard for what they've got as such, but you've really like pushed it hard.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you have such a high level, which I think is what makes this such a success.
Yeah, but you know, working hard. I think any athlete that wants to be on top of the game knows what hard work is. I think it was almost also like a necessity to work hard because, like you say, you work your butt off to compete and be good, and then you go home and Monday morning you wake up, you're like,
It's gone.
Where's where's
My pockets are empty.
so okay, and then it was like,
Prize money
okay,
cost half the flight.
I got the titles, so now let me go find sponsors, and then these sponsors activate you. So you got like all of a sudden you got 2 jobs.
Yeah.
But it's all
You
right.
got to work hard and smart, you know.
I try to be smarter now.
And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you build those dirt jumps yourself with a shuffle, you know, you'd be stupid. It would never happen. You know what I mean?
I feel like he'd still do it though.
That add value.
You
and-
know where to
Yeah.
pay attention to the details, and you're aware of it. And there's
Yeah,
hundreds, if not thousands, of details to make an event like this.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I wanted branding here, so I had to go put it up there, send it to the print shop, know how much the size of the tent, blah blah blah. It's just so much like.
So much. All the little bits.
Yeah, but it's important.
Endless.
Like I want to. Have you seen the photos on the walls there? Like I showed you.
The big posters,
Big posters.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I've seen that in.
Cool little touch, yeah.
I've seen that in Saudi Arabia. I saw Max Verstappen. I was like, that's cool. He was saying like, this is the fastest track in the world. I love coming here. I was like, I need that at Bike Fest.
Yeah, like so there's these big posters of riders all over the festival,
quotes
you know. And
Yeah, we got
it's
down
cool.
there with Jack and Nina.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
it real.
Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah.
What is it? Ride like a butterfly, sting like a.
Yeah. I came up with that for him. You
I
know,
was going to say, it doesn't sound like. I'm sure someone. Yeah.
I know.
Amazing.
I was like, Jack, this is your quote, man. It actually,
Yeah.
he's the Muhammad
It's
Ali of.
It's a shame he's not here. Like, so
Yeah.
say like it is a shame he's not here because
Yeah,
he's
Shout
actually
out
wish he
to
was
Jack.
here.
broken his ribs.
And
Because it would have been
gives the others a little bit more opportunity now.
yeah, but it would have been really cool because it's the first time we would have seen Charlie versus Jack on 26 inch.
Oh,
so
oh,
it would have been like,
Yeah,
What's gonna happen?
This is true. I know it's
gonna be
like
an exciting year,
still
I think.
British for us.
Super
It's the
cool.
British, you know.
No, it's,
And I know you've actually ridden with Jack too when you were over in England. So you've spent a lot of time with that. You know, I love that you said the Muhammad Ali of kind of trials too. That was quite a nice touch on that
the
too.
Tyson Fury, he'd prefer that one.
Tyson Fury.
No, you need
Maybe
to
not
build up
since last
some
week.
rivalry and stuff. But hey, I don't want to derail your podcast, but I have a question because the competition format and everything is so cool. But the way the sections are, it's so confusing for the spectator to know which gate is next. And you cannot walk close enough to read that this is 5 and this
Sure.
is 6. So, I mean, why aren't the obstacles more in a row? So it would be very easy. The guy has to get from A to B and everything in between, or there could be a light blowing
So
up.
funnily
Like
enough, like
as soon as you pass a gate, there's a red light and or a green light, and then the spectators not
we
only
need more money from sponsors.
but the next light that comes on, they know, okay, now he has to go between those two lights or something.
So funnily enough, like these rules, I started in London. I did in like 2016, 17, and the idea was to gain points instead of lose points like the old system.
Yeah,
and
that's a
also
great
to be
system.
able to keep the points that you make because a lot of riders would fail on the first gate or the fourth gate, and you wouldn't see any difference. Like, that guy did better because he got to the fourth gate. So it's a positive scoring system, which is really good.
Excellent
And
way, yeah.
with London, the idea was that it was a bit clearer, and we had like kind of like big things that say like 10 points. You know, like it's quite an obvious straight line idea, but it's incredibly difficult to build.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to build for different categories.
especially with natural obstacles. Like you did it with like square boxes,
Yeah.
which looked good. It was urban, made total sense. But if you go in with natural stuff, you put like 3 rocks and that's like 10 lines. So
Yeah.
like final, semi-final. So, but to your point, I thought about that too. Like, why don't we make it clearer? But if you look at horseback jumping, is that English? What I'm just saying?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't know the course. If I look at all the poles lined up, but if 2 people done it, I'm like, oh, that's the course. You know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is has to do with storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets more in the media. If people talk about it on a regular base, and it gets on the mainstream TV, people will start to understand the sport. I went to NFL after an NBA show I did in what's the Pacers? Indianapolis. They have a big arena, 90,000 people. I went to this football stadium. It was packed. I've never seen that many people, and there's like vertical walls. I'm like Roman Empire vibe, you know? And I'm like, okay. I sat there. I'm like, NFL, right?
No idea what's
These
going
four-
on, right?
These sport in America. I had no clue what they were doing. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It's like it takes too long. They stop every
The resets, they stop every
They
3
stop
seconds.
every
Like
3 seconds. I was like, I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the buzz? But
I'm with you, and I lived here for 37 years.
but
Exactly.
With baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
they of course, first of all, it's a mainstream sport. It's in college, and I get that. But it's all the time on TV that people understand it. I know people that love road racing in Flanders because it's always shown in our face. I love road racing because of that. Here in America, 90% of the people here, they couldn't care less about road racing. Like, they know Lance Armstrong, but I was here. I said, "Oh, Mathieu van der Poel, like he's like world champion." Who? a guy on my team.
Yeah, it's a great point.
A guy of my team here met George Hincapie at the bar a few days ago. He's like, who? I mean,
Wow.
Lance, Tour de France, George, never heard of him. So it's like culture. If the media is pushing it out there, if Trials was on TV every weekend for 2 months, 3 months, mainstream TV, man.
Yeah, because it works for motor trials. I remember watching motor trials on TV on the indoor arenas and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get the concept of it quite quickly.
Yeah, look at
So it
those
doesn't
arenas.
come down. Yeah.
And that leads
But
nicely
Those
into like,
sections, the motor trial sections are a lot more
Straight to the point.
like
So this-
indoor.
and I understand the point with sometimes you cannot continue like this, but like today in the first section there was one gate in the middle somewhere that was completely, you had to go back again over your same line, then you came in and it was like leave that gate out and
I do agree.
continue to the finish, you know, like there was an unnecessary gate in the middle that made it
That's-
look really,
we call it a Belgian section.
yeah.
Like Antwerp and stuff.
Yeah, the problem is Belgium and here, the rocks are very small here. Like
Yeah.
they're like limestone rocks. Like whatever you get out of the ground, they're like, you've seen it.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like
They're not.
narrow and they're not boulders. So all you can do is put them up, dig a hole in the ground, put them up, and create some challenge. And yeah, that's the main challenge here.
So it means like more you're sort of creating that route. It's kind of like what you said with the
Oh, yeah.
motor trials.
See, so I was thinking like, do you think like, because this is where I envisage trials could go, is that you have like a bit like motor trials where you have the outdoor series that is like for
That
trials
one.
riders, and then you have the indoor series where it is the sections are like more obvious, more straight line, more lights, more glamour, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is like, whoa, and people that don't know trials will watch and go, what on earth? How do these guys do that? And then once they see that, and then that will feed back into the like natural trials or UCI or kind of normal trials that we know now.
Yeah.
And then that feeds back into that sport, and they go like, wow, I want to know more about this. Oh, it's super technical, and they see that technical side of the sport. See, that's what I envisage. I think there should be like a winter series where it's, you know, you have like 6 events, and it's all kind of like glitz glamour indoors, loads of lights, you know, pom-pom girls, and then it feeds into like the World Cup events where it's like, okay, it's in the summer and this is more for like the real trials.
It's like a seasonal competitions rather
Yeah.
than it being just that one summer thing, because there's not
Yeah.
really much that happens in the winter.
I mean, what do you think? I don't know.
No, I'm all in, but I'm sure it will work. Well, indoor is always a tricky part.
I say indoor, but I mean that's
yeah,
the style
but
of the
you
section.
got to sell tickets. Rent the
Yeah.
arena,
Sponsors again, as you say, you know.
yeah, like
Yeah,
tricky.
yeah, for sure.
Like even I don't know if they lose money or make money. I don't know their business model, but I looked at the Nitro Circus, these big arenas, and there's like it looks so empty. I'm like, this is like I don't know if there's even still a market for that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I think it's on a quite
know.
knife edge at the
Because-
moment. Yeah, I think it was sort of boomed and then.
Yeah, because now you can see it all on YouTube. The crazier stuff.
People want to sit in the comfort of their homes and watch a stream. You know,
it changed. Like before live,
It's repetitive too. I mean, and then
Yeah.
you do guys doing backflips with a shopping cart and roller skates, and it's like, okay, I think I've seen
Yeah.
it all now. You know,
How far can they go? There's only so many flips you can do, like
Yeah.
physically.
yeah.
4
That
at the
will
moment.
progress
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean Ryan Willie, our Willie, he was here. He's done a good job in pushing the limits of
yeah, he really has.
BMX sport.
Yeah.
Mad stuff that guy's throwing down. Mad
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah. Really pushing
Last year
it.
his winning run was front flip off that,
Off the
rolling, double front flip, double back flip, and then something crazy at the airbag.
Oh
Yeah,
my
then he
God.
did the special flip and all these crazy names,
Yeah.
and all the you know.
That's
We don't have names for the tricks that we do. It's just
No,
kind of like
people always go like, "Hey, I'll be your MC of today. What are these tricks called?" I'm like,
It's so
I,
hard.
don't- I actually don't know. Maybe somebody should start writing them down.
it's called front wheel off.
Back wheel hop, front wheel hop, gap.
But and also trials progresses so much differently than any. I know that mountain
We
biking
do have,
progresses in
like-
the bikes, but it's like that element of how it changes more than any other cycling discipline. So it always makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
You were saying about that, like, oh, you weren't using the front wheel. Now people are gapping to the front, staying on the front wheel. So it's always
Or
moving
they
forward.
hook to front. Like what?
English breakfast.
Yeah, that's what they've been
Oh,
calling
you
it.
do have tricks for names for
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
we
we do.
adopt.
He's that
What-
old
what's English
already.
breakfast?
He doesn't even know what an English breakfast is.
What's
It's
that?
where you
It's like a hook.
and then go to the front wheel. So you used to hook and go to bash guard, and then it was like hook and go to 2 wheels, then it was hook and go to back wheel. Now it's hook and go to front.
And then switch to your back.
And these guys think it's easier. I don't know.
The thing is now, because the handlebars have gone like more forwards,
Yeah.
it's easier to get your weight over the front, and what it actually makes you do is subconsciously commit more to the front end. So as you hit the edge, you just flick straight down like that, and it tips over the front end.
But don't you put your face at a bigger risk with every time? Like
100%.
Some of the riders now like kissing
Charlie.
the
He's not a
tire.
pretty guy anyway.
When they start doing that technique, I was like, really?
Yeah.
face level,
Can you like keep it
Face
to your back
level
wheel?
2.0.
And then I was
face plant.
like,
Yeah, but it's crazy
and
to
then
see
I had,
these guys.
A half wrist. I was like, ugh.
But you see these guys right now, and they're like full on throwing their face into everything, and I think that's where I'm like, yeah, I'm a little bit older now. I don't really want to
Like
bounce my
shoulders
face
by
off that
elbows
edge, and
back.
it's
Like so it's got, I
Yeah.
can't even get my body into that position. Like
No.
it's elbows
And now
proper
everyone's
back.
padding the stem because they're like hitting parts
Yeah,
of
that's
the
the
bike.
sign of a pro trials
Really?
rider
So
now.
that's the limit. Like,
There's-
Charlie has to like padding on his stem.
There's pictures of guys
Because-
with their nose like almost at the front, I'd say.
Yeah.
yeah.
And 1 foot off
Aloy is
to
like,
create more like front wheel, nose down, 1 foot off.
They have a big magnet on the chest, so they stay on the stem. Like when they go forward, they don't fall
I
back.
think
Yeah,
that's it.
They can lift the top up like I'm a pro trials rider and have
Yeah.
these marks here.
Yeah, you can tell.
No shin.
Hans, what do you think of trials now? Like, do you think it's in the right direction, or
Yeah.
like you like modern day trials? Because I know like there's other riders like Chris Ackrick. He's not a huge fan of like the more athletic gymnastics side of trials now, because it's become like no seat, and it's more about like being like physically really strong, as opposed to maybe the old version of a bit more kind of like rolling and a little bit more mountain bikey.
I think it's all good. I think the new rule system is good. I just think the sections are a little slightly confusing, and it wouldn't
Yeah.
take much. I don't have to say it
Okay.
has to be in a straight line.
No.
But take the very confusing gates out, and then I think I think it's a.
That's cool.
It-
You like it? You still like
I
watching
like it. I think some of the European UCI events, they sometimes a little bit the same. I think the sections here are awesome. They're very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
There's-
shout out to
They
Esmeralda.
look natural. There's even sometimes you have to pedal to get somewhere,
yeah.
And I think it should be like that,
I know.
And I think in Europe it's always the same hook and back wheel and something super dangerous where like you have to let and so be careful not to make it too repetitive. Otherwise, it will get boring, and people go like, I've seen this now for the last 3 years, and
Yeah, I have
yes,
some-
and they did this much
Yeah.
better now, but it
Yeah.
looks the same to the.
It's true.
Untrained eye.
I didn't like to see that, but at the Abu Dhabi World Champs, there was like the VIPs with the white
Yeah.
Yes.
shade.
Yeah.
They were on the stage and they left after 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't like to see that, but I was like thinking about it. That first section was super boring.
Of course. Yeah. We all thought
Yeah.
the same.
Hard
To
for them
ride
to
it, I was like,
understand.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was super boring.
Like,
Remember that TV show they
Need
had
some
in Japan?
jumps
Did you ever go on that? The Super Rider.
No, I always wanted to go.
Rider. Well,
Yeah.
that is.
I wanted
But
to
dude, how
Yeah.
cool
Under
is that?
pressure.
Oh, yeah.
You start from A and it gets harder and harder
we're
to
working
almost
on it.
impossible at the end, but it's
It's in the
very
pipeline.
clear for the audience.
Well,
Well, they've made a version of that with skateboarding now on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. It got semi-viral on YouTube, but that same format, but with skateboarding.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like Ninja Warrior.
It was like, what's it,
On a
Keshi's
skateboard.
Castle?
Yeah.
Ninja
I think there's
Warrior.
room for that in the future. I like to think that the future of trials is in the right hands, Kenny. I'm
mean-
talking about you.
I'm only doing one event. I had the opportunity to do more events, but I'm just like, this takes up a lot of my time. I almost feel like I have to have a whole agency with an office and have 20 people there.
It's the next step.
I think you will.
I don't know, man.
I think you will. That sounds like a lot of work.
An office means I have to be there every day at that time and leave last.
Look, he's making notes already. That's actually a good idea, what I just said. I'm gonna.
Yeah, in his own.
No,
So,
no.
I know.
We are working on some new
I like
formats.
my computer in my backpack and work from the airport. Be
Yeah.
in Dubai, work on Bike Fest, be there. Like, that's how I like to work it out. Maybe it's not
Do
sustainable.
it and in your own time. And I think that you've worked very hard all weekend, enough today. I know we're on a bit of a curfew here. This has been probably the best podcast I've been able to host and be part and sit down with you guys. So,
Yeah.
Hans, thank you so much for joining us for
Hey.
the conversation.
No.
Kenny,
Keep it up.
Thank you for
Tom,
having us.
Andre.
You guys are the only trial.
we are the
podcast.
only
Yeah,
trials
I
podcast
I
in
wanna-
the
Well,
world.
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna
best.
start one
And
with
the
OP.
And the best. No, but I want to say that too. Like, thank you.
And the
because,
worst.
we need more platforms. Like before we had Travel Zine and Trial Inside.
Yeah.
It was good. It was very for only our niche, but you know, this is a great idea and keep doing it, please. I know it's a lot of effort and takes a lot of your time, but you gotta
Kenny,
keep doing it.
That's some really strong words, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I think we'll have even more podcasts next year. This is only going to be. It gets better every year. So if you're listening to this, you've never been to Bentonville Bike Fest. Get it in your calendar.
Yeah.
Come here. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, Trials needs to have these kind of regular fixtures. And you never know what the UCI is going to come up with in terms of competitions and going stuff. So if you know this is in the calendar every year, there's no reason why it can't be in the calendar.
We need that on the top level, and we need entry-level things, almost like the Strider thing, or like at the Malverns, we have a trials area with pallets.
I love that.
Easy stuff where you can just play around, but you can come with your enduro bike, or you come with your trials bike or old school
100%.
trials bike, and
100%.
everybody plays, and just like when you guys warm up here before the competition, but on a rideable level where the spectator goes like, I think I could ride over those little pallet
Yeah, I
bridge,
think now
you know?
they probably see the warm-up area and they're like, I'm not riding.
Yeah, I suck. I still can't make it up the curb, you know. I'm out.
I can't even walk along. How are these guys cycling along it?
Actually, I built it because I had all these telephone poles all over, and I just with a forklift, I'm just like,
Throw that there. Yeah.
Andy, fix it.
Yeah,
Done.
and to add, these sections, or this kind of trials park, as I'm going to call it, is now permanent, Kenny.
Yeah.
Built this here. You can come here to Bentonville any time.
Yeah, the Farrar brothers came and practiced here for spring break.
Awesome.
Yeah, so.
And congratulations to Sean for being national champion. He just won the national championships.
Nice.
Yeah.
American
No,
champion.
I saw him riding. He's
Today?
He's incredible. Yeah.
very powerful.
Is he the blonde
Very
guy? Is he
powerful.
the blonde?
Yeah, Sean was the tall blonde.
Yeah, he looked really good warming
super
up,
strong
and
now, and
Fantastic.
Yeah,
It's great
yeah.
to see that like now there is a legit, really, high level. Well, I said to him he really needs to,
and
if he
and
can
to,
get to more events the next few years.
and to see American riders riding with the Europeans, you know, that the level can be slightly different, and it's like we need the world, you know, we need the world to be together.
I already said it in the podcast, but why it is so big in Europe is because we can have competitions every weekend.
Every weekend. Yeah.
And you know,
But
and then you train. You're like, whoa, and pushes motivation. Like, next year I want to be good, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like before, they was just like, oh, I'm a rock star of my neighborhood, maybe.
Yeah.
And I win.
Yeah,
And then
it's so true.
they meet all the European riders like, whoa, I got some
yeah.
work to do. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
This
but
is
it's
being
true.
honest. That's what happened to them.
Yeah.
And now they're like pushing it.
They're getting humbled.
really
That's the word, you know, to
And
what that
now
is.
the level is, and it is going up. So I'm glad.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait to see the future. I think those brothers have a big future, and hopefully that'll. And there was another young rider. What was his name?
Grant.
Grant,
Shout out
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
the youngster there. I saw him last year, and then you come a year later, and you physically see that progression, and I'm just like, wow, like they're committed. It doesn't matter that they don't have that big community that we do kind of in the UK or Europe, where, you know, you're pressed, and like these guys call it riding. Some others call it training.
Stunt riding.
You know, stunt riding.
Stunt riding.
You know, and the word riding to me sounds fun. The word training to me sounds exhausting. You know, and I think that's that kind of the separation there that we were talking about the other day. So, yeah, and let's get the media into it more, as you said, Kenny. Let's get the media on that more, realizing that this is the top level of bikes.
Yeah.
And you can probably hear maybe in the background that we are in the mix of this festival right now. We're here.
Now it's an opportunity.
I
And I want to give you one trivia here, since we're in America, and because this country actually has a really cool history about trials that most people don't know. They had the NBL, the National Bike League, is the big federation that did all the big BMX stuff in the 80s and 90s, and even, I think they're still around, but they had trials rules in 1980. They had the US National Championship, like way before mountain biking started, way before we had in Europe a European Cup. The first European Cup was in 82.
Wow.
And they had already, never went anywhere, but they had the full rule book. They had a championship in Kansas City where, you know, it was just in pockets.
But didn't they have as well, like in the national series, you rode downhill, cross country, trials.
Yeah, that was different though. That was later than mountain biking started in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And the early mountain bike races were so-called stage races. You had one mountain bike, and you had to do the trials, the cross country and the downhill on the same bike.
That's so cool.
The same bike as well.
Yeah,
in France they still do that.
Specialize.
Really?
You use the same bike. There was no specialty bikes, and then there was a small group of guys who looked to Europe and saw, hey, in Europe they do all this 20-inch trial stuff. They wanted to be like us, and one of them was Kevin Norton, the guy who actually came to Europe, competed in the mid '80s at the European Cup, and he invited me to come to America, saying, you need to come to America and show them what real trials riding is, because that stock bike trial stuff where they can barely make it up the curb is not really cutting it. And and that was one of those platforms that, at the right time. But so that's how these early cool. And in Mammoth, so everybody wanted to do the cross country and the downhill, but they had to do the trials. So we had like 850 people in the trials competition.
850 people.
Yeah.
Whoa. Way, that's mad.
And Hans wasn't trials in the X Games.
Yeah, the very first X Games. Yeah.
So we've got some work to do, lads. It sounds like we've got some work to do if it's been there before.
Okay. Have you ever met somebody when you're doing your thing live and they say, I don't like this? This is a stupid sport? Never. So what holds trials back of becoming a popular sport on TV?
Yeah.
Walmart starts selling trials bikes. Like, if there were trials bikes in all the bike shops.
Our niche is our power.
But it needs to be relatable.
Powerful. I like that. Our niche is our power.
You watch golf, it's relatable.
Gary V. Gary V.
Gary V. Yeah. You did. Did you do an interview with him?
Yeah, I was in his office.
Yeah, well, cool.
It's like,
he's an interesting
your niche
guy.
is your power, and it is.
Yeah.
Powerful.
I want to give one more. I want to give one more round of advice to all the trials riders out there. If you're extremely talented, please create content. Now that we talk about Gary V.
Maybe start YouTube.
Yeah, maybe start YouTube.
Like get out there, get your content out. How you train.
Create more than you consume.
We need more people pushing their content out. Become more valuable for sponsors. Sponsors will activate you. Don't stay in your forest. Your forest won't get you to get out there. Do shows. Do free shows. Go to events. Be creative. Make it happen. Get out there. Just get the ball rolling. Don't think I don't have sponsors because of trials. Maybe, but just get out there. Try.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking, Hans, that I got to a point where I'm very satisfied and maybe I got some tricks that I can teach others. I'm also sometimes I think I should just have a sponsor deck out there, open source. Just for them, just because there's a lot of trials riders that don't know how to work with Keynote, PowerPoint, who don't have managers, but it could be useful for them to get that and then send it out to sponsors and get sponsorships and maybe do Shin Dig podcast about how do you sell trials to a business in your village.
Yeah.
What's a
really
car dealer?
Good, yeah.
Maybe how can I approach this car dealer? Give him 5 free shows in return for a car.
Yeah.
You got a free car. How can I be sponsored by the local bike shop? Then
how to create value to yourself.
Exactly. This is your next podcast.
You gotta get creative, and you have to remember. Actually, most of those trials guys, we mentioned a lot of the big names who came from trials. They made it happen because they worked hard and they made it happen for themselves. They didn't.
Off the bike.
If you wait for that phone to ring of the sponsor to say just because you won today, the phone's not gonna ring because you won today. You need to make it happen and tell the sponsors what you can offer them. Besides winning and all this. So you got to get creative and make it happen for yourself.
Importantly, and I think you touched on this earlier, it's not necessarily about your abilities, but being able to tell a story. Be engaging in that way and adding value in more ways than just I win competitions.
No,
there's
people
a
don't
million other ways.
Yeah, they don't. No, I mean,
the best example, and I know you guys want to wrap this up, but it's these influencers on the internet who are not hardcore bikers. They often don't even know how to bike, but they got more followers than some of the world champions or World Cup winners because the people A can relate to them, but B they're working on it. They're
know
finding
how to
ways
create
to
content.
offer something.
Stories.
You know, so
People buy people buy
Yeah,
stories.
and into that kind of collaboration. So,
All right.
guys, this has been such a valuable conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.
I know. So, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you,
for
guys.
listening.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having
It's been an
me.
absolute pleasure.
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
behind the cameras as well. You guys are
To say thank you
amazing.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Highlight of the weekend right here.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.